Hello everyone. I started the process of making a homemade pumpkin pie. I had a whole pumpkin set here on the counter, cut it in half. I was videoing and somehow I messed up the settings on my video and it was like in sonic mode or sonic speed, and man, I had that thing cut in half. The seeds dug out in a matter of 19 seconds. So that wasn't very good footage, 19 seconds of me doing all that. But anyways, what I done is I put it in the oven. It's been in the oven for about an hour. I'm going to check it and make sure it's done, that the pumpkin itself is cooked. And then if it is, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to let it sit here and cool down. And once it's cooled, then I'm going to peel the skin off the pumpkin. Take the meat of the pumpkin and put in my Ninja food processor and chop it up or puree it up, and then I'm going to proceed to make a homemade pumpkin pie. The pumpkin does feel like it's done, so I'm going to shut this oven off. Now I'm going to open this oven, let this heat out, let it warm up the house a little bit. I'll let them things cool down to where I can handle them. Okay, now that this pumpkin's been cooled down, I'm going to set it over here. What I'm going to do is start cutting in pieces, get the skin peeled off, and it's stringy stuff I'm going to discard over here in this bowl. That stuff will get thrown to the chickens for scraps for the pigs. And then the rest is going to be put in my Ninja food processor here. And I'm going to puree it up into a fine pulp so I can make some homemade pumpkin pies. There's a couple bad spots on this pumpkin I need to cut off. A few seeds that I missed and some of the stringy stuff, I'll get it out here. I can see it's pretty soft. All you gotta do is get the skin peeled off here. This part here, I just scrape a little bit of that off where it's kind of dried out or whatnot from the oven. And the rest of this I'll just cut up into this small pieces and put in this food processor. Well, I'll get the rest of this cut up and pureed, and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, now that I got the pumpkin pureed, it's all ready to go for whatever ingredients you want to put it in, actually, which I'm using it for pumpkin pie. I already have my ingredients for the pumpkin pie, the dry mixture. All I use is a recipe that's usually on the back of a can of pumpkin pie mix, or canned pumpkin at the store, which I've saved them over the years. Here's one off of Libby's pumpkin. Here's one off of Hy-Vee pumpkin. And this one happened to be off of Great Value, which is Walmart brand pumpkin and cut out. I looked at the ingredients, they're pretty much all the same. A little bit of variation on the amount of ground clove, that one of them calls for a fourth, one calls for a half. It all depends on how strong a clove flavor you like in your pumpkin. I don't like a lot, so I keep it whatever the recipe calls for. But I have all the spices, the sugar, cinnamon, everything mixed up here. The recipe calls for 2 eggs, but I'm doubling it because I'm actually going to divide this up into 3 pie pans, which I already have my crust pre-made. So it calls for 2 12-ounce cans of evaporated milk, or it calls for 1 can per recipe, so I double it, so it's going to be 2. I'm going to dump that in here with the sugar. There's my 2 cans. Calls for 2 eggs, so of course you gotta double it. It's gonna be 4 eggs. I'll save the eggshells to go in the compost pile. And it calls for normally a 15-ounce can, which is actually 2.5 tablespoons shy of 2 cups. So I just rounded up to 2 cups, but we're going to double the recipe, so you're going to be putting 4 cups of your pureed pumpkin in here. When you do cook the pumpkin down, or cook it in the oven, bake it to cook it, and then when you puree it down, you want to make sure it's really, really fine. I've had pumpkins where they were extra stringy pumpkins, and the pie is kind of stringy then. And I'm a texture type of guy, and I don't like the stringiness in the pie filling when I'm eating it. I guess it ain't pleasant to my palate. So I make sure it's really, really fine. Ground up really, really fine when I put it in my pies. If you got a good food processor or blender or mixer, or blender I should say, it'll puree it up pretty good. There's my 4 cups. You want to preheat your oven to 425. You're going to bake it for 15 minutes. On 425, and then turn it down to 350, I believe it is, for another 55 minutes, or until the knife comes out clean. If you stick it in the crust or in the filling, it comes out clean and you stick it to the knife. But once you have all this in here, you want to mix it up good. You can use electric mixer, or you can mix it by hand like I am. Just want to make sure everything gets mixed well. Seems to be mixed pretty good. Excuse me. Next, I'm going to bring my pie shells over here. My easy crust recipe. Carefully pour some in each pie shell. Now I'll place them in the oven Let them bake for 15 minutes. And then turn the heat down to 350 and bake them for another 55 minutes. I think I got room to make 3 of them at one time. Okay, I've set the timer. For 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, I'll turn it down and bake it for another 50-55 minutes. Okay. I checked these pies and I think they're done. They've been in there for 50 minutes. Stuck a knife in them and they come out clean. The knife did. So I think I'm going to pull them out of the oven. I'll set them up here on top of the stove. Let them cool down. Leave that oven open, let the warm air out. Well, there you have it. There are my pies. I bumped that one a little bit right there when I taking that other pie out or sliding it on here, or took it out of the oven, I guess, but they actually look pretty good. I'll let them soon sit and cool down. I'll be taking them tomorrow to the family Thanksgiving, or at least 2 of them. I might leave one here at home for me to eat all by myself. Pumpkin happens to be my favorite. Anyways, thanks for joining me on this adventure making my homemade pies from pumpkin. Catch you on the next video. Thank you.